everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the happiest hour on earth. We are in February right now, and we are in the month of love. And so that is why tonight we are going to be talking about pet peeves.
Very fitting.
Very fitting. I mean, you can have pet peeves with your spouse. I mean, we don't.
There's none.
There's none
whatsoever.
There's none. I don't have any of you. I'm sure you have some from me. But next week we're going to be having a more Valentine's love themed episode. But tonight we are talking about pet peeves, and we posted this on our Instagram, and a lot of people have Disney pet peeves as well. And so we are going to be talking about our pet peeves with Disney, our listeners' pet peeves with Disney. There are a lot of good ones in here that are pretty funny and amazing. We are very positive people. We don't like dwelling on the negative, but once in a while we kind of have to have an episode like this.
Vent and air it out,
Yeah.
Just chat about things that could be better. Not that Disney has control over all of these things. Some of them they do, some they don't, but
yeah. And don't take this as like us slamming Disney. We love Disney no matter what. Everyone has different opinions and everything. So we are so excited to jump into this episode. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button. And if you're listening on a podcasting platform, hit the follow button, hit the 5 stars button, and that just helps out so much. So with that, let's go ahead and jump on in.
let's do it. All right, so we are ready to jump into this list. We have some fun stuff to talk about. I think we each kind of contributed a bit to this list, and it was really fun to read all of your guys' stuff. So yeah, we're excited to get started and chat about some of these pet peeves with Disney. So first on our list is going to be the way that Disney overhypes plans for whether it's a ride, a land, a movie even. I mean, there's a number of things that get kind of overhyped and talked about and then just don't quite deliver how we think it should.
Yeah. And I think overhyping makes sense because you have to hype people
like
up.
you want people to be excited about something.
Yeah, but not delivering.
But yeah, if you're going to have that thing come out and it just not be up to par, then it's really frustrating as the receivers of that to be like, well, I feel like we were promised a lot more than this.
Yeah.
And then it's just like,
Yeah. I think one of the biggest recent examples with that is Avengers Campus, talking about how there's going to be, the Avengers e-ticket ride. Yeah. And then, it kept getting delayed and delayed. And of course, we were going through 2020 during that time. And so money was probably really strange and weird and everything at that time. But also just like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, some of the concept art is not what they're actually doing.
Than how it's looking. And
yeah,
it's like they put things out like we can expect this. The way that the drop looked was very different.
With like Mama Odie's treehouse and ship and everything on there.
Yeah. It was looking so cool. And I feel like they want to get people very excited for things. And then as the plans continue, they like kind of cut things out that otherwise would be really cool. So
yeah, for sure.
It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into our second one here, which is taking an already existing land or ride, changing it and not making it better. They're usually kind of equal or maybe a little bit less. Like with Avengers Campus, we know a lot of people love Avengers Campus, but they took Bugs Land, which we didn't go into all the time, but we loved the theming of it, and then changing it to something that kind of feels a little lackluster. Obviously, there's some really cool things in Avengers Campus, but also I think Pixar Pier as well. We love Pixar so much, but they could have put more effort into it, I feel like. Yeah,
I agree. At least as it relates to like Incredicoaster, for one, I feel like I will always love Screamin' more.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that was one case where, they took something that was good already and changed it to something that like didn't really feel like it was any better. Yeah. I haven't seen San Francisco yet. That was Pacific Wharf.
A lot of people do really like
it's cool, but I still feel like it's just kind of unnecessary. It's like kind of putting money where it doesn't need to go, in my opinion, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, we're all about Pixar. Like, I wouldn't say I don't like Pixar Pier. Like, I love the theming of it. I love Lamplight Lounge. Like, there's so much that's incredible about Pixar Pier. But that's just one idea of like why did that have to change? And same goes for like the ride that was in Bugs Land. I think it was Flix Flyers that they took out of there, put into Pixar Pier, and just reskinned it as an Inside Out ride. And it's like the exact same thing, but it's not. I don't know. It's not better.
Yeah, for sure. And the most recent example, and we have so much hope for it, but taking Splash Mountain and changing it to Tiana's Bayou Adventure, obviously we know the reasons why they're changing Splash Mountain, but we hope this reskinning of Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure far exceeds our expectations, and also hoping that it exceeds Splash Mountain, which is really hard to do because of all the memories everyone has created with Splash Mountain. But this better not be something that is just, kind of thrown together.
Yeah.
This better be a whole bunch of animatronics, a whole bunch of new technology animatronics, really good use of projection mapping, just to enhance and
with how much time it is taking for them to release this ride. They have had so much time to plan it. With like when they announced that this was happening years ago now. I think it was literally in 2020.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah, they better be working like
they
in
better
the background.
have a great ride up their sleeve.
Yeah.
At this point. Like they've had a lot of time to sit on it, think about it,
I'm so nervous.
It's like, what are you going to do?
Because of course I'm really excited for Princess Tiana ride.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous that it's not going to be what everyone's expecting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess everyone's expecting it to not be that great. But I mean, what everyone's hoping for. So let's hope. We're crossing our fingers.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up on our list is a pretty obvious one. I think we all kind of feel the same about this in the Disney community, but the crowds in the parks are so overwhelming these days. It's gotten worse and worse.
I would say what's even worse than crowds, because you're gonna expect crowds, right?
Yeah.
But when you see like big groups of schools or camps and stuff like that, and I'm all for it. Like, go like having a school field trip or doing grad night or things like that. We would love it.
Loving it. We'd have such a fun time.
But like, now that we're like this age,
like 30-year-olds with their kids, and you just see like a school bus or a couple school buses pulled up to the entrance, it's like,
I know. I remember we were sitting in our hotel, like eating before we were about to go into the park. And then just like
at the
hotel, like 50 high schoolers, all from the same school. And I was like,
this is going to be a fun day at Disneyland.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And then
obviously we're not throwing shade. If any of you listening are high schoolers or a part of any of those groups, we don't hate you. It's just the fact that the park is already so crowded, and then there are groups that come in, and it's just bogged down.
Everyone's wearing like the same colored shirt, and you're just like, I need to like stay away from them. But I'm sure you guys, like, even if you're a part of another school, if you see another school there, you're probably like, oh my gosh, like a huge clump of people.
Oh, they're gonna take up more of our space here.
But I remember that so much. That was actually our last trip when I saw 50 people shuffle into our hotel. That's when I was like, a pet peeves episode would be great.
Literally, I was like, that was when the idea formed.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, fun times.
But have fun on your trips. Do all that stuff, but just don't go when we go.
Make it not when we're on our trip.
Let's please, because you always try to hope that you pick the perfect time to go to Disney.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, crowds aren't like too bad like the week before. Yeah, and then it's like
spring
everyone
break
decides to
or
go.
like some random
oh man,
holiday off from school, and that's where they are.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Next up on our list, we have rides breaking down constantly.
All the time.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, obviously they can't really do too much about it.
Like, I know.
It's just
and it goes with how crowded it is all the time, because those rides are getting put to use literally every second that the park is open.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I always think of like Rise of the Resistance and Indiana Jones.
Yes.
It's always those two.
Classic examples.
And it always just causes
Thunder,
so much
a lot of the time it's Thunder, I feel like
that's
too.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just It's annoying when you're, maybe you were waiting to get on that ride. And then it's down and you're just like, okay, gotta wait. And then it reopens and you have like such a limited time to like get there when the line is short.
You're like fast pass or lightning lane was for like 2 p.m. and then now it's like 11. Like,
okay. Well,
it's tough.
Yeah.
Should I get the next one?
Yes, please do. This one definitely his.
Okay. I came up with this and it might sound wild off the top, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
We've talked about worse probably.
Yeah. So another one of our pet peeves is the stinkers. And what I mean by that is those people who wait until it's inside, like an inside queue or in a ride that just like let out a big old fart.
Loose.
And you're like, it's like when everyone's like, okay, come on, get into. And right when you walk in, it's like, dude, you could have done it a few seconds ago outside, had that fresh air. You're looking at me because I have been guilty of this. And it's in the car, but also at Disneyland. But it's a pet peeve of mine too. I do it and I'm like, I should have just.
Anytime you do it yourself, you should remind yourself, I had a pet peeve about this.
Yeah.
This is not nice for anyone else to do.
Why people do it
either.
Why people do it is because no one knows. No one knows. There should be like, like when you're testing gas to make sure there's no like propane leak, there should be like that you could keep in mind. Be like, it's him, not me. But no, you guys know, crowd. Man, some of it gets like really like, especially the like Fantasyland inside it. It's like already smells like musty and weird, and you're like, that one's just gonna stick in.
And the line, like you're extra close to everyone in the Fantasyland lines.
Dude, you know what's a good idea? I mean, a bad idea, but Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in the hell scene, like when it's really hot and just boom, and then the next 10 cars are just like, it's hot. And it smells. This is the worst.
He's the king of good ideas. He's the king.
I love that we're talking about farts in February on a Disney podcast. You guys thought we were going to be doing a love episode.
Yeah.
We're talking about farts.
Yeah. This is the polar opposite of what next week's will be. Don't worry. It'll be
it's gonna be
much more lovey-dovey. But
okay.
Yeah.
Enough talking about farts. Personal jinx. You owe me a fart. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I won't do that to you.
Let's please.
Moving on, please. Yep. Yeah. Next up is Disney takes forever to complete projects, and that's something else that we were just talking about with Tiana. Mm-hmm. It's like I feel like we hear about so many ideas and projects that like kind of are in the works, maybe.
Yeah.
And we're like not sure whether to expect it to be coming out anytime soon. If it's going to be years away. Usually it's years. Usually. Like, and sometimes doesn't even happen.
But when we think about other theme parks, like Epic Universe is literally building an entire new, gate over there. And they're getting it done like pretty quick.
Not to mention Disneyland was built in a year.
Yeah, I was just talking to our friend this past weekend, Robert. If you're listening, Robert, thanks for having us over. We had such a blast, but we were talking Disney and we were just talking about how literally Disneyland was built in a year. Obviously, when it opened,
there were a lot of problems.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems, but still a year to build an entire park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's expanded since, but still, like they got so much accomplished in such a short amount of time. And the way that technology is now, the workforce, I'm sure, has increased. Like in so many ways, things could get done so much more rapid. Mm-hmm. I can't pretend like I understand all of the intricacies of building things in the park. I guess maybe there's more to it than I realize, but sometimes it just feels like we're just waiting around.
It's crazy. But let's jump over to another one and shout out to our friends in Make It Magical podcast, because they've done a couple episodes on Genie Plus and how awful it is, and
bad move it was.
and Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes and everything. And it's like in one sense you can't blame them. I mean, Universal charges a whole bunch for their not fast pass, but their quick thing. But for theirs, you get on immediately. And with Lightning Lane, there's just so many different issues, and it bogs down the standby so bad.
Issues with it that just don't make it effective. Like I feel like we have used it twice now, because it just doesn't always feel even necessary. I don't feel like it really does much to help.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously shorter than standby, but it's not what you want it to be.
Yeah.
You still wait
it
a long
just
time
makes
sometimes. Yeah.
standby like so much longer.
Yeah. And they keep adding lightning lanes to rides that don't need it. Pirates of the Caribbean. And
it seems so pointless. I just think
miss
it's a flawed
free Fast
system.
Pass.
Fast passes were the best. We can all agree about that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
But do you want to get into the next one, which you kind of touched upon?
Yes, I literally was kind of just talking about this, but this is just more detail. The system issues in general with Disney in terms of like anything on the site or the app, I feel like it all just needs some serious revamping. We haven't even attempted to like buy magic keys or anything, but all we hear about on the days that they release them is like how difficult it is to
like
the word to have one.
To get one. Yeah.
Yes. And that's just ridiculous to me. Like Disney has so much money. I don't understand why it has to be so hard for people.
Site breaking and
buy things. Yes.
It's tough.
But
speaking about money, another thing, we don't even have to go long on this one, but just price increases. It happens every year. We know and they know that demand is pretty inelastic, meaning they could charge whatever they want and people are still going to go. Mm-hmm. And that's just tough. But the thing is, I guess I could say with the price increases is things are getting more expensive, yet we're not really seeing that much put back into the park. We have Tiana's that we're waiting for. We do have a lot of expansion internationally.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully Disneyland Forward.
Hopefully Disneyland Forward, yes. So they have
still in the works.
They have committed, if this gets approved, we're going to be putting $2 billion into Disneyland. I think there's, $60 billion over the next 10 years that they say they're going to be putting in parks, I believe. So that'd be great. And that would make the price increases work it if we're getting more value for the money that we're spending. So that could fall away if we're actually going to be getting more. But the next pet peeve we have, this is like on the guest side, just like inappropriate behavior. Like we've seen some shirts that people are wearing that like say something or like show, I don't know.
Anything inappropriate, not to mention our good pal that decided to strip down in Small World recently.
He could have chose any ride to do that. And he chose like the one where all the kids are. I'm like, my dude.
So unnecessary.
Can you not? Yeah, that's the height of inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
It's like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. Or like people like loud cussing in front of kids and stuff like that too. Like that's another thing too. Just like yelling, like dropping F-bombs, like when there's kids all around. I'm like, dude, what? Just chill.
Not to mention, we had some friends who were making lightsabers in Galaxy's Edge, and their experience was pretty much ruined by people just like yelling out very inappropriate things, like to the person,
who's like trying to do his job and like, make it this amazing experience. And they're just like shouting out inappropriate things to him. And then everyone else's experience is ruined because of that. And you paid $200 or more or whatever to do this experience. And those people, it's like, dude, just
ruined it.
Can you not? Yeah. And I don't know if they were like, if they just kind of suck or if they like had too much at Oga's, but it's like, you should be able to handle your alcohol if you're drinking at Disney. Don't be a jerk to everyone around you. It's so annoying.
It's very unnecessary.
So huge pet peeve.
Big one. Yes.
Stupid people like that.
Another one is the quote, fill in all available space. Never,
especially post Pandy.
Yes, especially. I mean, I've never been a fan of them forcing everyone to be like sardines in a space.
Yeah.
But especially after everything that has happened, it's like, let's just like there can be a little bit of space.
Yeah. Like, and then there's those people that take it a little too seriously and are just like right on your necks, just breathing down. You're like, please, not that much available space. Yeah. It's
very, very unnecessary. Once again, I don't think we need to be using that line anymore.
Yeah.
I understand the crowds are a lot and you need to
like squeeze in a bit.
Yeah.
Rather than all available. You're like literally like puzzle pieces just
like what do you mean by this?
Yeah. So bad. Another one, we have 2 more, and then we have some listener responses that we're going to be going over quickly. But
Quite a few.
disproportionate line jumping. So sometimes you got to line jump. I'm sorry, like you got to sometimes if someone's like going to the bathroom, hey, I'll catch up, whatever.
Yeah.
But disproportionate in both ways. Like either it's a huge group meeting that one person who's like been waiting, and like 5 people are like, hey, we're gonna meet that one person, or like just disproportionate and like they're literally going all the way to the front. Like if it's like a quarter in, even a half in, it's like, okay, that's fine. The worst is like literally like a group of 5 or more, and they're just like, sorry. It's just my mom's up there, and they're going all the way, and then they just jump in the log on Splash Mountain, and you're like, okay.
Like, not that we've all been waiting for, a very long time for this.
Yeah. And I'm fine with it with like, when it makes sense.
Sometimes you have to. Yes.
Sometimes,
if it's like you had to rush your kid to the bathroom, or like you were grabbing a snack and it took longer than you expected. Like, it happens. But sometimes I think people just abuse the system a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. Oof.
Last one on our list, and we're guilty of this.
I think we're all guilty.
We all are.
Yeah.
But I want to work on it because I want to be in the moment more. Phones up constantly in the park. Just obviously we're in the world of content creation and just wanting to capture memories. I totally get that. I'm exactly the same way, especially with having kids now. It's like you want to capture every little moment. I get it. But it's just, I don't know, like during shows now, I think I noticed it one of the last times that we were watching one of the shows.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying it and you're watching and you just look down if it's dark out and all you see are screens as people have them out taking video and photo. It's like, just enjoy the moment, you know? It's
and like we said, we're guilty of it too.
Totally.
I tried to take mine out for like a minute,
short
just
spurts.
to capture a little bit, but
sometimes it just feels like people are so caught up in needing to get things captured on video and photo that they just kind of miss out on it. And I always think back to the section in the Imagineering story, and I don't even recall who it was talking about it, but they were just saying that like they call it a win if they get people to like look up from their phones for a second or something, like what they're creating. And it's like they don't even want people to be using the time in the park to be on their phones constantly. So it's like it's really hard because like it's not a pet peeve like mad at people for using their phones. It's more like it's a bummer that we live in a society where we can't just fully be in the moment. And like we said, we're guilty of it. But hopefully that kind of we're able to kind of I think some people are kind of waking up to that a little bit. Just we
should always do like a one day of our trip where it's just phones down like the entire time.
Not possible.
You need mobile order your food. You gotta,
my gosh,
but
photo and video wise though, it's like sometimes you gotta just kind of take a step back or make it like know exactly what you're gonna take photos of for video and just do that alone and keep your phone down more of the time. Yeah, for sure. So now we're gonna jump into a few listener responses that we had of their Disney pet peeves. Some of them kind of overlap with ours, but there's some good ones in here that we did not talk about. So definitely stick around to the end to hear all of these. But we broke them up into sections. We have a few under the money category. Do you want to start us off? Yes. Our good friend at Brit Street said prioritizing money over guest experience, particularly in more recent years. 100%. Things have kind of slowly gone downhill in quality in the park while the money constantly is increasing. And I totally feel that. It's a big bummer. I think we all have felt the effects of that. Yeah, definitely. And next up, similar, is at Disney Marvel Mama. Who's a great friend on Instagram too. All these people are great. I always just say that, like, the episode would be really long if I just dive into how amazing everyone is, but go check out all these people who have Disney pages. But she said just trying to nickel and dime us wherever they can. And like we said earlier, if the increases are going to lead to expansions and bettering the guest experience, like
thumbs up there, but we haven't really seen it too much. So hopefully they're able to
Hopefully in
reinvest in
coming
the
years.
parks. Yeah.
Agreed. Next at Ryback Debbie said, sounds silly, but why can't we get a magic key discount at the carts and small food spots? Yeah. True. That's I feel like those are the areas where there's almost the most snack getting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like only, I mean, we are in magic key holders, but I feel like it's mainly at restaurants, but you should get those discounts for the churros.
Yeah. I feel like there should be discounts anywhere, honestly, with how expensive those magic keys are.
It is expensive.
I feel you there, Debbie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then the last one we have here is another good friend of ours in IRL and in real life.
IRL.
At it's Lauren_Renee. She said her pet peeve is that the shops have too many amazing things that it makes her spend all of her money. And I agree. Yeah. When you go into like World of Disney or something and you're just like, oh my gosh, like there's just so much I need. There's so much I need. And then on top of the food and on top of the tickets, that shopping bill is going up. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We feel you, Lauren.
We feel you there. Next category is related to guests in the park. So things that other guests in the park do.
Yep. This is the biggest.
Yes.
This is the biggest thing we got from people. So
yes,
funny.
a lot of people said this one. People who just stop in the middle of the walkway and stand there. So we got this one from at Enjoy Disney, Enjoy Life, at All About Los Angeles, at Leopard Print OX, at Plan Disney with Jill, and at the DMSW podcast. Yeah.
As I was reading all these, I was just like,
I was picturing
you're walking and then just boom, and
you
then
feel like
everyone
you're just
has
like
to
you slam into them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
and
guilty
you
of it
can't always
too.
control when you need to stop for something.
But then the standing there, it's like stop, stand, let's pull out a map, let's figure out where we're going. And it's like not off to the side. Yeah.
Just go somewhere for that.
I wasn't expecting everyone to.
A lot of people had that idea.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
It's true. We're guilty of it, but it is true. It's annoying.
We at least try to get out of the way. Now we're stroller park goers too, which is really kind of hard.
Makes it extra stressful to try and like navigate elsewhere to like pause. But
yeah, I'm pretty good at it. Yeah. I'm pretty I'm pretty
he's
swift.
He's a stroller guy when we're anywhere actually. He's pretty good at maneuvering.
Yeah, it is fun. So another one we got about guests is from at Disney Cable Magic. She said people talking through entire attractions or pre-shows. And I love this, like talking through the attraction, just like trying to talk about whatever. It's like, I want to be in, I'm fully into this ride. But then the pre-show thing too. And no shade if you do it.
Yeah.
Because we know a lot of people do it during Haunted Mansion. That's like the biggest one.
Oh yeah.
But it's like maybe do it under your breath. I've been in there sometimes and they're just like, dude, look at me. I know this entire thing. Yeah.
And same with like pirates, like as you're about to go over the drop with skeleton. I feel like a lot of people do it there too. And it's like so quiet aside from that voice. So it's like really taking me out of the moment here.
Just whisper it in your friend's ear. They won't mind at all. Just
not creepy at all.
Find a way out. Right. But yeah, I mean, especially for people who are experiencing it for the first time. It's like, I want to hear.
Just let them enjoy it.
Soak up all the
in every moment.
Spookiness. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
next, we have one from at All About Los Angeles.
This is kind of harsh.
I know this is a little
and I don't
harsh.
think I agree with this one.
Yeah, I guess not. But he said Disney bounding is a pet peeve, which I don't know. I guess it just depends. Because some people do it so well. Yeah. And it looks amazing. And you're just like you really have to like know every detail about what they're trying to be to even know that that's what they're trying to be. Yeah. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess for some people it's like just wear your normal clothes. Yeah. I find it, I don't know. I kind of find it fun. I would never do it because I feel like I would probably butcher it. Yeah. But especially if you're a bad Disney, I'd be really bad. And everyone would be like, dude, get out of here. The other good Disney bounders will be like, we don't want you in our space. No, that's not true. In terms of your Walt Disney, he was Walt Disney for Halloween, not this last year, but the previous one. And he
That was pretty good.
slayed it. That was pretty great.
Thank you. Yeah, that was super fun.
That was a good bound.
Yeah. I know. Is that a bound or is that just a full costume?
I mean, not really. I would say you just kind of.
Yeah, it's hard
really
when it's a
look like
human because it's like, I guess
you're just kind of wearing clothes that emulate what he used to wear.
that's true. Exactly.
It was great.
But yeah, that was so fun. But we got another one from @FamTravelFolio. She said people squeezing in front of you during rope drop because there's room and you've waited 30 minutes. Yeah, that's tough. It's like I saw an inch up there. Let me just finagle my way in there.
Especially if they are like taller than you. Or
yeah.
Oh, and you're just like, I've been here this whole time. Please back off. Like you're already
especially for like a show
annoyed.
or something like that too.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, could you just like squat down a little bit? Can I get on your shoulders, please? I want to see the show.
Seriously, especially, well, I don't know. I guess this is kind of mean, but like a lot of times with parents who put their kids on their shoulders,
that makes it really hard.
that is very hard to see anything.
Some of the short people problems.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like more than a human height.
I know there will be like a 7 foot tall person and then he puts the kid on the shoulders. Like you could like at least like
Just
hold them onto the side.
I'll be able to see
and now
I
it's like
promise.
9 feet of like just things I can't see past.
Yeah. And it happens all the time. It's like, I get it. I understand you want your kid to see. I'm not trying to be mean, but I feel like there are easier ways that you wouldn't be blocking everyone behind you.
Yeah. That's always tough.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
Struggles. Yeah. This is you, right?
Yeah, my turn. So @leopardprintox said people that cut off / ignore ECVs, people with handicaps deserve to be there too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's not cool to treat people like they're insignificant just because they don't have the abilities that you do to get places.
Yeah, and it's hard already to like maneuver those things in crowds.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish there could just be someone like walking in front to,
we've seen people
find a path.
Yeah, exactly. That's not cool.
Yeah, for sure. We got another one from @Jordan the Park Hopper, similar to what we said earlier, but she said couples who make it awkward for everyone else with the excessive PDA. It's like, okay, like kissing, holding hands, like whatever. But yeah, some people are like making out in lines.
Each other in the line. You're like,
it's like save that for like the ride.
Like we used to do.
The dark ride. Yeah. But they're just like right out in front. You're like, okay, man, like chill down a little bit.
Needs to see that.
Yeah. And then she also said, also anyone having adult conversations where kiddos could hear. Yeah. It's like, know your surroundings.
Yeah. Just be aware and don't be rude with how you're speaking when there's little ears.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. So @Live Learn Dream Magic said people not caring if they're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like especially nowadays.
It's like,
Well, what's even worse than that is like if people are sick, but instead of like covering, they're just like letting it go all out. It's like, let's just make sure we sneeze on every single person.
I mean, and you're outside a lot of the time. It's like, things are floating away in the air, but a lot of times you're like in line where everyone's like, yay far from each other.
Wiping and then touching the handles and the yellow tabs. You're like,
or like the rails, and then the kids are like hanging on them, like putting their mouth on them and stuff. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. I kind of liked during, like 2020 when they would be like sanitizing stuff, like in between people, having like hand sanitizer. In life, it was so nice. Just every store was always hand sanitizer everywhere. And now there's like no hand sanitizer in store, like, or they're not working. And I'm like, I just want to like live around, just like Walt Disney put garbage cans, every 15 feet or whatever it was. No, it's 15 too small.
30, I think it was 30.
Something like that. And it's like, let's just do hand sanitizer everywhere because you don't know what you're touching.
Yeah.
I want to sometimes just walk past, get a little dollop in my hand, just clean those babies. But
I know, that was kind of a perk of that time. You knew most things were pretty sanitary.
Yeah.
Generally.
So the last one in the guest category was Plan Disney with Jill. And she said, people who force their kids onto rides when they aren't ready. So sad to watch.
Yeah.
I know. I was one of these kids. My parents would at least bribe me with getting a stuffed animal if I went on the ride. So Tower and Screamin', those were the ones that they forced me to.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
And it worked. Did you hate them or love them?
No, I loved them.
Okay.
So it's kind of against her point, but I do agree. Like sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's terrible.
To see a kid that's just distraught and being forced to do something they don't want to do.
Exactly. Just dragging
I
them on
couldn't
the
do
floor.
it.
You're going on this ride. Yeah. It doesn't make sense why you.
It's like
do that. I get it. I understand like encouraging and like, you know, helping them get over that fear, but there's a difference between that
forcing,
and like you're you're such a baby because you're not going on this.
Yeah. I agree. I think, I don't know. I put myself in those shoes and it's like, yes, once your kid is like tall enough to do stuff, you're just like, yes, you can go on everything. And like, you just want them to experience it and it's going to be so fun. But also like you want to respect like if your kid feels ready for it or not.
For sure.
It's like, even if they're not yet, they will be eventually. Just don't make it such a like negative experience.
Yeah, like a
for
shaming
them.
Experience.
Yeah, shaming and just making them like not want to do it next time because they just remember that like humiliating experience from before. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that really. I don't see it too often, but it does happen. And it's sad.
For sure. So moving on, we are going to be talking about Disney experience. We have 3 here from some listeners. And so do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Yeah, sure. The first one comes from @StephinWonderland13, who said the constant IP revamp of places / rides in the park. And I'd have to agree with that. I just don't think that it's necessary.
Yeah, certain things in certain areas I feel like should not be touched.
Like I know even in Disney World taking
Maelstrom to Frozen. Yeah. A lot of people were bummed about that.
Yeah, and we never got to ride Maelstrom. And we did like Frozen, but still just the idea that like nothing original or non-IP is staying anymore. It's just kind of sad. It's like not everything has to be based on characters and movies and stuff.
And then they did that with the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that Tarzan too. Just kind of Swiss Family Robinson, but kind of not.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Although we love Tarzan so much, so that
was sad.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. But a lot of people love the tree. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but, I am interested to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
My son will probably love it.
Yeah, that'd be so exciting.
But yeah, it's just, sometimes I just don't think it's really necessary. Like sometimes things are just good as they are and money could be used elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one we have is from at the DMSW podcast, Johnny. And he said, Bob Iger, Genie plus Disney IT. So Genie plus Disney IT, we kind of talked about earlier. Bob Iger. Yeah, it was one of those things where we were expecting he's back and he's just gonna fix everything, but then like prices still went up with quality kind of going down, and it just wasn't the grand reunion that we really thought it was gonna be. So Johnny has some choice words on Bobby Boy and Genie Plus and all that stuff. So definitely go check out his podcast if you want to hear those. Great guy, great podcast. Definitely go check him out along with all these other pages. And so with that, we have one more. Austin. I love chatting with this guy. I love chatting with everybody, but me and him just kind of talk a lot about this in particular. And so do you want to hit us off with this last one?
Yeah. So this kind of goes back to one of the first things that we were talking about, but getting concept art for things and them never sticking with that first idea.
Yeah.
Like Tiana.
Yeah. It's like you get this beautiful piece of concept art and it's very, I guess, blue sky and just like what the possibilities are. But the hard thing with that is that if you don't stick to it, then a lot of people are kind of disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that happens just way too often with Disney. There's just a lot. I mean, especially after the last D23, I feel like there was a lot that was talked about that like would be coming or like might be a possibility, and everybody's just kind of like
So should we get excited about this or not?
Yeah, it's kind of like,
You know?
I don't know how I should feel right now, but
Yeah.
like seems to be the case a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Just like, yeah, I think the biggest one, like we mentioned earlier, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's like the concept art looks so cool.
Yeah.
And the thing is, obviously you gotta make it visually appealing and get people excited about it, but just go for it. Like that should be your goal. You should strive to, I know like
Stick
concept
to what
art
you
is
said
very
you were
kind
gonna
of,
do.
you know, kind of loose on what you're going to be doing there, but that should be the goal, is like striving for that amazing concept art that you had. And then it kind of changed over the years, and it's like, oh, there's no more Mama Odie's treehouse on there, and like this isn't in here, this, that.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of feels like they're taking away a lot of things, but yeah,
It is what it is.
it is.
It's
But that one's always
unfortunate.
hard.
Yeah, that is a tough one, and it happens probably more than it should. But you know, I just feel like Disney, in a lot of ways, is just in kind of a slump right now. Just kind of needs to work on a lot of things, and I'm sure they will in coming years. I don't think that we're all gonna have these tiffs forever, these peeves. But
I think if Disneyland, the things that I think will really turn things around, especially with the competition that Universal is doing, I think first in June with Tokyo Disney Sea opening up their new ports at Fantasy Springs. That's going to be cool. Getting first Tangled ride, Tangled Land, Peter Pan Land, all that stuff. That's going to be in the right direction. If Disneyland Forwards gets approved, doing some expansion at the first original park, that's going to be amazing. And then and then we're waiting for Walt Disney World to do something big, and then I think that will keep them in a competitive spirit against Universal Studios. But
I guess it is kind of hard because they have so many parks in different countries. They have a lot of money to divvy up to a lot of different places, you know.
Yeah, but Universal is going to be having more parks than them pretty soon.
That's crazy. That's wild.
So crazy. But obviously, like I said earlier in the episode, we don't like dwelling on the negative, but sometimes it is just kind of fun having like a little session where we just get to talk and laugh about all these things. And our love for Disney remains the same. We love it so much.
We'll never not love Disney.
Yeah. And a lot of these things are out of their control, but we want to hear from you guys. What's your biggest Disney pet peeve? If you're watching on YouTube, drop it down in the comments below. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, let us know on Instagram on our post for today's episode. That'd be great. We'll chat about, all the craziness that there is to be peeved about.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always fun to chat a little extra with you guys when you have more ideas to bring to the table. So definitely let us know if you have any more peeves.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, we will be back next week with a Valentine's Day themed episode. Very different from this episode. That's why we had to get it all out. So we're all full of love next week, which is going to be really fun.
Only positivity.
only positivity. But we love you guys so much. I hope you guys have a fantastic Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, whatever love, hate day, whatever you're kind of feeling for 2024. Next week, we will be doing a little more romantic episode. But even if you hate Valentine's Day and are one of those people, I think you should still tune in because it'll still be fun.
Yeah.
I guess we won't even talk about it. Yeah, it's about us. It's going to be a funny episode. It's going to be a really fun one. So definitely come back next week. With that, we love you guys. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
See you then.